What is your ha ha ha, oh wait you're serious moment? I asked a co-worker with what his son's name was, and he answered Legolas. After 2 seconds of laughing I realized he wasn't laughing. His son is actually named Legolas. Same here. I met a little boy named Merlin and kinda insulted his parents with my reaction. I was walking my dog a few weeks ago and came face to face with a guy with a small toddler and an Afghan hound. My dog can be funny with dogs he doesn't know, so I grabbed his collar as we approached. The guy saw what I'd done and so said loudly, "Merlin, stop," and grabbed his dog and picked up the toddler. As we passed I said, "That's a great name for a dog." He looked insulted and said, "Merlin is my son's name." Case in point, I have friends whose dog is named Merlin. I think that's fair to assume. My principal's last name is Knight, and after I wore a Star Wars t-shirt to work one day, I'm a teacher, she came up to me and told me her son's name is Jedi. Jedi Knight. Others confirmed she was serious. As a giant nerd, I think it's actually kind of awesome though, lol. I knew a walker who named his daughter Sky. Sky is an awesome name even without the Star Wars reference. Haha, that's awesome. She better be a helicopter pilot. Had a coworker named Marvin Case who had a nephew named Justin. Yep, just in case. Power move. I'd be so pissed if my parents named me that though. Had a client at my old job who named her sons Logan and Xavier. Best geeky names ever. Being named Xavier is more of a curse than anything. People make wheelchair jokes and the TSA tries to do stuff to your butthole every time you wanna fly. Have a friend who named her boys Charles and Xavier. I like it because the names by themselves are normal names. That way the parents get to have fun without subjecting their kids to future ridicule or embarrassment. My best friend named his son Vader. This was a few years ago. I forgot how the topic was brought up, but I clearly remember my older sister saying, "There aren't any modern buildings in Egypt, just pyramids." How old was your sister? If you can remember an older sister saying this, they're old enough to know better. Not necessarily. When I was 11, someone at school said you can buy Nike shoes in Japan for like $10 because that's where they make them, and I just assumed it was true for a few years. There's so many things wrong with that statement. That's not 1/100th as dumb as the Egypt thing though. I can see an 11-year-old believing that pretty easily. Or a large group of adults on Facebook if it came in image with text form. Some guys where I worked were planning to gang rape a girl in the parking lot when the shift ended. It wasn't a hilarious haha story even at first, but it really seemed like just really horribly inappropriate joking. It was a lunch table I sat down at during my break with guys around my age. At first I was just really uncomfortable and just tried to shut up and tune it out. But then they tried to include me and it escalated to them full out planning details, and I was just about sick at the table. I was absolutely sure they were going to do it. So as soon as they were gone I went and told my dad, who was the safety guy at the plant, and he made sure cops were waiting for them in the parking lot and that girl had someone walking her to her car from then on. Whole thing was so fucked. Thank you for taking that seriously. Sadly, there are people who wouldn't. Lucky his dad was the safety guy. It's a lot easier to bounce a suspicion off a trusted family member than a stranger. You're very right, it was easy for me to say something because of my dad. I was still a bit afraid the dudes were gonna figure out it was me and come after me, but I had a pretty good safety net for myself. I don't blame you for being afraid. These guys sound very dangerous. Nice job protecting that woman. Good on you for getting involved. You reminded me of a story that's sort of the opposite of this thread. My dad told me about one time when he was in high school gym class, this would have been in the late 70s, he overheard a couple guys whispering to each other about someone having been raped. My dad starts getting all pissed off and tries to eavesdrop to figure out what happened. These guys are talking very quietly, sort of looking around to make sure no one could hear them. My dad catches little pieces like, I don't know if he really did it. Doesn't seem like something he would do. She's lied about that kind of thing before. And so on. Finally, my dad can't take it anymore, gets himself all worked up, and pushes one of the kids against a locker and asks him what happened, who was involved, etc. Turns out these kids were talking about some soap opera and they were just too embarrassed that they watched it that they didn't want anyone to hear them talking about it. Everyone watched General Hospital back then. The Luke and Laura storyline was gripping. That's it? I couldn't remember which one it was, but now that you say it, I'm sure that's it. This made me laugh way too hard for it being 8:35 a.m. Friend 1, hey man, how come you decided to shave all your hair off? Friend 2, the chemo kind of decided for him. Friend 1, aw fuck off Joe, no seriously though, how come? Me, he's actually not joking. Funniest shit that ever happened to me. You, I want my hair get done by advanced technology doctor, say no more fam. Hey Bob, what's that haircut called? Stage 4, alright, let's stop it right there. I once worked with a 50-some-year-old guy at my first job, who also happened to be a former crackhead. I added in that detail because his mannerisms and communication were clearly affected by his prior drug use, and he would sometimes laugh when he was telling serious stories. One day he was telling me a story about him accidentally setting fire to the woods when he was trying to cremate his dead pet frog when he was a little boy. I was laughing my ass off, strangely so was he, until he looked me dead in the eye, with a face that's as serious as they get, and says, I'm still not over it. I knew that look and knew he was actually being serious despite being in absolute hysterics with me while telling his story. I immediately felt like an asshole. He was cool about it though, thankfully, lol. So he wasn't amphibing then? This joke is such a stretch, it made me pull a muscle. Good work. That is such a good reply to a stretch joke, I'm going to steal it. Bravo. An intern at the vet I work at was a very sheltered Mormon. He came to work one day panicked. He had his first kiss the night before, asked the girl to marry him, and was concerned about his wedding date. He was absolutely convinced that he got her pregnant by kissing her. Absolutely convinced. It took me a long time to register what he was panicked about because it sounded so absurd. He'd delivered hundreds of kittens and puppies by then. I just thought he had also learned about human reproductive anatomy as well as animals by then. Eesh, poor thing. I was raised conservative Christian, and still am a Christian, just not so conservative, but my mom sat my sister and I down for the talk when I was 11 and I very much knew after that. Was that before or after you learned that an angry God would punish you for your transgressions? I'm as atheist as they come, but this kind of thing doesn't achieve anything. You're just getting people's backs up for no good reason. I think pointing out the silliness is a good enough reason. When I learned I had totally forgotten to attend almost every single class in one of my college courses. I forgot I had enrolled in it. A classmate asked me, haha, where ve you been? You're never there when the teacher's taking attendance. And I was like, haha, funny. So anyway, how's, oh wait, luckily it was only about a month into the semester and I managed to bring it back up to a low B. This is an anxiety dream that tons of people get and you literally lived through it. That's terrifying. Had that dream the night before last. Holy crap. Woke with a start. I had that dream the other day and I'm not even in college anymore. I had that dream the other day and I've been out of college for 20 years. Thanks for watching, subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss a video.